Hey guys, it's Monday, March 7th, and I haven't done a video in a while, so I thought I'd do a little segment here for Paul. Hasn't really been a lot going on here this winter. We've been busy because the weather's been cold, but just now nothing really interesting it seems like to record too much about. But I got to thinking the other day about doing a video about our barn. So I thought you guys might find it interesting hearing a little bit little history about our barn. So anyways, our dairy barn here, it was built in 1957, and the original dairy barn sat right there where this calf barn is. And I don't remember what it really looked like when it was standing. When I was just a little kid, it was just all in shambles. And I remember going up there and playing with like a handsaw and hammers and stuff, trying to tear it apart. But it was already collapsed at that time. And then I can remember, must have been like 87 or 88, my dad cleaning the site up because he was gonna get ready to build this calf barn. So but anyways, when they built this barn, at that time when they built it, there was no running water down here for the cement mixer. And I remember my uncle telling the story about, I never heard any stories about the barn being built for my dad, because I was too young and I just never thought to ask any of those questions. But anyways, when they built this one, they had just a small cement mixer, and they got the water from up here in that shed right there. That's where they had a water hydrant, and they ran a hose all the way down here to the barn to mix the cement. And I remember him telling a story about when they did the footings for it. And actually, this pad of cement right here that you see, this is the actual footings. It's kind of hard to believe, you know, they're right there for the front, but it's just kind of the way the lay of the land is. So you don't see it over here anymore. But anyways, that one field that we rent, that's just a mile south of our place, there's a gravel pit down there in part of that field, an abandoned gravel pit. And that gravel pit, when they built this, they went down there and they got like a bunch of fist-sized rocks to push into the footings, because the construction guy told them that if they would do that, it would save them some money on concrete. So that's what they did. So, and then I'll show you here the silo too, that was put up in I believe around like 74 or 75. So that's when the feed room would have been put up too. And I vaguely remember, like I said, I never asked my dad this stuff, but I remember my uncle telling about when he put up his silo, his first silo, I think it was in 1973. And then that kind of gave my dad the idea about putting up a silo too. So he put it up, I think, like the following year. So the following year or two later, something like that. But anyways, I don't know if you can see here. If you don't know a lot about silos, if you look at how the white staves are up there in the top, it's obviously, this is getting a little bit faded and the paint's kind of come off because it's been a long time. But the top staves are all solid white, and then the second is the ring is every other stave is white, and that signifies what silo company built the silo. So every silo company had a different pattern that they used when they built their silos. And this one here was made, it came from the Starbuck Silo Company in Starbuck, Minnesota is the company that put this silo up. So if you go around and look at silos, and you'll notice, like I say, the different patterns, that'll tell you what the different ones are, which company made them. If you know what pattern it is, you'll know what company, you know, it came from. And then I'm just going to show you here the difference in the contrast. If you've never paid attention to this on any of the videos when Paul's been filming, but this back here is the addition that Paul and I put on the barn back in 2009. The barn used to just hold 30 cows, and then we put on this addition to hold another 18 cows. So like right here, originally when we did this addition, it was only going to be an extra 16 stalls, but we had an alleyway from right here over to the wall, but we decided that we might as well utilize this space and put a cow in there, and then we just made this small walk alley here. I mean, it was nice before where you could just, you know, drive up and down through here, but with like a wheelbarrow. But it's just too tempting to have that extra space, so we just decided to make it into a stall. Because sometimes I guess you just want to get as many cows in the barn as you can. So then you can kind of see in here where these two walls are. That's where the old and new part meet. And up until about, when was it? I think 2014, this just used to be like wood stanchions. Like we had took out the stanchions in here and we ran an overhead pipe, and then to kind of make it like a makeshift tie stall, these 8 cows right up to here where this alleyway is, that used to be, like I said, the old wood stanchion part. And then in 2014 the wood stanchions, the bottom was getting so rotted out that we had tie stalls put in here. And then this part of the barn here, this was like steel stanchions. It had a concrete curb there, but just no, it wasn't made out of wood, the stanchion frames. It was all pipe, steel pipe. And we took this and just did, you know, the overhead. It was pretty simple just to bolt in pipes. And then we've had some that have rusted loose, so we had steel plates made, and we anchored them in to fasten it so it wasn't wobbly anymore. But originally this, see, 5 stalls right here, it was actually, when my grandpa built the barn, it was like calf pens is what this was. And then my dad, he finally, I don't know when it was, sometime in the 60s or 70s, he converted this into stalls. And then this right here used to be an alleyway to come, so it was like pretty much straight right out of the milk room. But I think it was like in 2002, I made this into a stall for a cow, because the barn only used to hold at that point 29 cows, and I wanted to get one more cow in, so I made this, just put that overhead pipe in and that post and stuff so it could hold a cow and stuff. So, but, and then this side of the barn over here too, this used to be all wood stanchions too, and it was sometime, I think in the early 80s. My dad and my mom were married at that time, so my mom, she can remember when they redid this part of the barn, because they had to, you know, they couldn't milk any cows in here for like a week. And the only problem was at that time, when they did the tie stalls, they didn't have the plastic sleeve on them. Like, I'll show you here in a minute. But I just want to show you guys here. Last week I had to replace this stall right here, broke out. So a couple years ago we had our welder neighbor guy, we ordered these stalls, and then we got this, it's like 1/4 inch angle iron here, and then just drilled holes in it, and then we anchored it to the concrete so we could replace the old ones. And we've done that with almost every stall in this line. You know, there's still maybe 5 or 6 that haven't been done yet, but it's a kind of an easy way to replace them without having to rip out the curb and redo the concrete and put new you know, stalls in that way. It's just, you know, a way that you can do it without not having to, so you can keep milking the cows. You don't have to lose that stall for the stalls for a week. And so like here, when we did this new part of the barn, I don't know when it was they started putting these plastic pipes on there, sometime maybe in the late 80s when they did the stalls. So that way the part that was in the concrete, it would never rust, because you always get some of this junk that's built up there, extra feed or whatever the cows put up there, and then they slop from their drinking cup there, and they start to rust right at the concrete. So that was a pretty good idea that they did that. And then I'll take you guys upstairs here, just kind of show you a few things about upstairs. One thing I like about this barn is, you know, they decided to take the space to have a staircase in it, where I know some people have just taken out the staircase to get an extra cow in. But like in this barn, where the staircase is situated, you couldn't put a cow here anyways, because as you can see, the corner of the gutter is right there, and you know, there'd be no gutter for a cow here to go anyways. So, and then underneath of the stair steps here is where our vacuum pump is located. So it wouldn't really work to have a cow here, because it would just, you couldn't be able to feed it and stuff. So I hope you guys can see okay up here. It's getting close to evening, but you kind of see how, you know, this is since it's a round roof barn, how they kind of did the rafters and stuff in here, all the different bracing. I think if I remember right, my uncle saying like these rafters were gee, I can't remember. I think they were pre-made when they came. And then this overhead door here, I think we put that in like in 2017. We put that in so we could get big square bales of straw in. We bought some big square bales of straw this winter here. So we got one upstairs right now. Because the other door we used to have was just a slider door. And you could get like 3x3x8 square bales in, but you couldn't get a 4x3x8 or a 4x4x8 in here. So we did that so we could get the bigger squares in here if that's what we could find, you know. And then two, I think we put this hole in the floor here to throw down the straw. We did that back in 2013 if I remember right. So when we did put the big square bales up here, we could just drop it down to the center alleyway, where before we used to always just open up the slider door and throw the straw outside. But when it's cold out, it's a lot nicer to be able just to throw it down inside the barn. And then when the guy did it too, that made this, you know, he put, you can see it here, that like 1-inch thick styrofoam over top the door, so it insulates it because you don't want to keep straw over the top of it. And then too, this this floor where the bale is sitting here, he did the same thing. He put 1-inch thick styrofoam down so that way this area would be insulated, because otherwise you'll start getting condensation on the floor downstairs if you don't have it insulated. And then I was going to show you back here. This plywood right there, that used to be where the old slider door was for the back end of the barn. So that way we could put the flight elevator in here from both ends when we were unloading hay or straw into the barn. Usually this end was just always hay because we didn't have straw back in this part. We always put it up in the front part. But that's the access door for the attic for the addition to the barn now. So that's what all that's used for. So other than that, I think I'm gonna wrap up this segment, but I thought you guys might find it interesting to do a little tour of the barn here and some history on it and stuff. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody.